Brother, that is fresh. That just made most of what I've heard as pop on the radio today sound or taste like stale Twinkies. I mean, that is just refreshing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, people say it's at least different, so at least in some ways. So I don't know. I'll take it as a compliment when they say it's different, and I appreciate the encouragement there. Glad to know that we're on a path that at least some people enjoy. So
I'm right there in it. I mean, I was thoroughly enjoying it. That's one of the things I enjoy about playing these songs and these videos during this live stream is I get to really enjoy the music more of the artists that we're interviewing. And there's a question that I have in the song. You talk about the brainwashing that we go through and that we experience. Can you expound upon that a little bit? I'm curious.
So the many of us grow up in a not a fantasy land, but a fantasy land of sorts. Media, whether it's in the form of television or our parents, or maybe our parents, it was in the form of a radio or something. I don't know, but media in the form of television, mainly these days, will raise many children or many of the generation coming up behind me and my generation. And that being said, much of what is put out is a downright lie or a watering down of the truth. And we see it reflecting into the culture. And we don't have time to get into all the implications of what that means, but we see that deeply cutting into the culture. Media, entertainment, and fantasy tells us what our relationships with our parents should be like, tells us what our relationships with our spouses should be like, tells us what sex should look and feel like, tells us how we should respond to, you name it, religion, science, quote unquote, what we've been pushing in the public schools for years now and implementing. And all these different things stem from the idea, or not the idea, but the active media sources that we plug into our ears every day. And so it is a slow brainwashing. And if you're not active, or at least being able to look in and to decipher what's going on and spit out the bones, there's some good stuff happening. I'm not bashing all media. I'm not bashing the TV, but to be able to eat it up and spit out the bones, you're going to be brainwashed, and you're going to think that everything is meant to curate around your life, and your dreams are what matters most, and things like that. And when that's in Christ, we have an abundant life. That doesn't mean that we're at the center of attention. That doesn't mean that we're going to have the girl of our dreams or the man of our dreams walk into our life like a Cinderella story or things like that. And so I believe there's just a brainwashing going on everywhere. And if you're not active about pursuing truth, you're going to flow right now with the current.
Yeah, Babylon and Egypt is nothing but a dream. It's just a fantasy world. Yeah. And I've found that in myself in pursuing the Lord. The more that I pursue him, the more I realize that Babylon and Egypt was in me, and it's got to go to really pursue him freely and see what he wants to do through me completely released. We have to be re-brainwashed again with the water of the word.
The renewing of your mind, and Paul says, I die daily so that Christ may live in me. So that means even Paul, the half of the New Testament writer of half the New Testament, said, I gotta crucify this flesh daily. And so it's a process for everyone, so I'm not knocking that.
Yeah, and it's not easy either.
Girl, I need you right now. I want to speak into this madness so that we can figure out why we stay